Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. Welcome, friends and neighbors, to the show. I'm your host, Jake Sheff, bringing you all of the latest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, a month dedicated to reducing fatalities caused by distracted driving every year. And this is the time of year when many teens and high schoolers are making the jump to getting their driver's license themselves and gaining that next level of independence. Therefore, it's more important than ever to hone in on driver safety. I stopped by West Bloomfield High School recently to speak with some young drivers on what people need to be aware of on the road, especially having been on the road themselves.
I mean, it makes me feel scared to drive on the road. I've been driving for a minute, and a lot of people just they don't pay attention. I feel like awareness is also a big thing that people should worry about. I would say being patient, because a lot of people want to rush and think they're experienced when they're really not. So that's a really big thing, is patience on the road, and to just be calm, because a lot of people road rage.
I think phones, honestly, is the biggest thing. Keeping them in a spot that's not tempting for you while you're driving, it's very important. I think driving is something that you need to have 100% focus for, and keeping a phone near you is very dangerous on the road. I got my license over a year ago. I've noticed a lot of times, especially in parking lots, kids scrolling on their phones. They get too comfortable in a car. They think it's a safe place, when in reality it's one of the most dangerous spots to be in during your day. Tons of accidents a year, millions of people die. It's very, very important to be mindful while you drive.
I think specifically, making sure they're looking where they're going, and, more difficult traffic areas, especially around Orchard Lake Road, there can be really busy, and when people aren't really following or looking at what they're doing, it can be very distracting and chaotic, especially at roundabouts on Orchard Lake Road. It's a really big one. So if people are going when they're not supposed to be going, or not waiting too long, then it can be more difficult for people to get where they're going and cause more accidents.
It's good to know these kids are informed and know what to do when they are on the road. And we hope that everybody in the community is aware of what they need to be on the lookout for when they're behind the wheel, especially as Distracted Driving Awareness Month continues. We always love to celebrate new businesses in the community, as it's a reflection of the hard work and dedication of the owner as they watch their dreams come to fruition. Timeless Touch in Keego Harbor, a self-owned barbershop, opened its doors last month and has been the result of an incredible dream from owner Mitch Levy. Mitch has been a barber for over 12 years and told me recently that the process to get his own business started has been challenging but incredibly rewarding.
I was working in everybody else's barbershops. I was bouncing all over the place, and I just wasn't really happy with the way that everybody was running their shop. I figured I would be able to do this in a better way. So, when I decided to quit my job and really make the leap, it was really scary. When it came down to it, I wasn't able to afford anything. It was really hard. Everything's expensive. And so I had to figure out a way around that. And so the best next option for me was to open up a little one-chair salon, little one-chair studio in my garage. And so when I did that, I had about 60 clients in my phone book from my previous barbershop. And when I contacted everybody, maybe 5 people actually showed up, and it was really scary. But by the grace of God, thank goodness, hard work and word of mouth, it really helped. And I was able to build. I started this with 10 clients, and fast forward to going towards my 3rd year, I'm now in this beautiful commercial location. Dreams come true.
7 days a week, all just you, is that correct?
That is correct, yes, sir. Yep, hard work pays off. I'm extremely passionate about what I do, and to a lot of people it sounds a little crazy, 7 days a week, but when you really enjoy what you do, it's not work. I love what I do, and the longer I can be here, the happier I'll be.
What was it about Keego Harbor that called out to you that you decided this is where you want to make your home for your barbershop?
My mom, she always told me, she says, honey, the right place will reveal itself at the right time. And at one point I was just aimlessly driving looking for a barbershop, and I couldn't seem to find a place. And lo and behold, this place found me. So there was a realtor that called me, and he says to me, hey, I hear you're looking for a barbershop. I got the spot for you. So I pulled up, and it was completely built out, completely set up for what I needed it to be. And, I by the grace of God, it all happened and it all worked out wonderfully. And I couldn't be happier. It's a true godsend, a true dream come true. And, this is something I've always, truly wanted to do. And to be able to do it for myself, I couldn't be happier. Keego Harbor has welcomed me with such open arms. And, I'm so thankful for the opportunity to serve the community that I'm in.
What do you see in terms of like the next steps for Timeless Touch and your impact on Keego Harbor?
Sure. So my next step, my plan going forward is I want to build this place out to be the very best barbershop in Oakland County. I want this place to feel like home to the community. I want to be able to hire barbers and have more than just myself. I want to have all my chairs, people sitting here waiting. I want to have everybody talking, and I want to build a community foundation.
It was so inspiring to hear Mitch's story, and we wish him all the best of luck as Timeless Touch continues to make an impact all throughout Keego Harbor, and we want to see this business continue to grow and continue to be popular. Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital will be hosting a free, open-to-the-public heart screening event on Saturday, April 18th. A free community-focused health initiative designed to promote early detection and prevention of cardiovascular disease through accessible screenings. It's going to be hosted at multiple locations across Southeast Michigan, including Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, who is hosting for the first time, bringing vital care directly into local communities. Joining us now on the Splash Live to tell us more is cardiologist Dr. Shalini Modi with the Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. Shalini, thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you and your viewers.
Of course, glad to have you on. Really important information to be getting out there for the public. What is the overall mission behind the Healthy Heart Screening event, and how has this event evolved over the years?
So 3 core messages from our entire conversation will be awareness, early action, and better outcomes. So the mission in totality is about creating early awareness for detection of heart disease, prevention of heart disease in our community. It is also to connect our community members with medical resources available at Henry Ford West Bloomfield should the need ever arise for such medical services. So the ultimate goal, if I were to put it all together, I would say it is to decrease the incidence of heart disease, improve public health, and empower individuals to take an active role in their own health.
That's great, and that's important information for everybody to be aware of when they stop by to this heart screening event. How do these screenings differ from a typical doctor's visit, would you say?
It's an excellent question. So usually screenings, when they happen, they are meant to be at a larger scale. That's meant for the community. So they're really broad-based items. Certain fundamental tests are done, and they're very quick and focused. There is no prescription, there's no diagnosis, there's no physical exam. Differ that to a visit with a nurse practitioner in cardiology versus or a physician in a cardiology clinic. There will be that visit is more curated to the needs of that individual, be it testing, be it the exam, whatever is needed to make the diagnosis, as well as prescriptions are a part of that.
Of course, it seems like you've got really tailor-made resources available for every individual person that stops by. And it sounds like there's a lot of different types of tests that are going to be offered with this program. Can you walk us through the different types of tests that there are and what each one reveals about heart health?
So the whole process is meant to be very simple, organized, and focused on quick assessment. So when a community member walks into the building, there's a check-in process. They fill in a questionnaire. And after that, they will be taken into a room. There will be vital signs, which include heart rate, blood pressure, followed by a blood test, which is to check a spot blood glucose, followed by an EKG. All of the questionnaire and all the results of these are taken to the consultant, where they sit down one-on-one. There will be one of our nurse practitioners or a cardiologist present at the moment. They get to discuss that. Then they will be provided with educational resources, or even if a referral information is required for a primary care physician or a specialist, all of that will be given at that moment.
A lot of valuable information that you're getting the same day as you take these tests. How valuable is it for patients to receive same-day results and speak directly with a physician?
Wonderful point. So the advantage is it's being done. Like I said, these are focused and quick assessments, but nevertheless very valuable, because I believe it takes a motivated individual to walk up to such a screening event and go through that process, and to be rewarded to sit down with somebody who can review all these results and give them one-on-one feedback. And hopefully at the end of the visit, they walk away with a peace of mind and motivated to make changes for their health.
All great things for people to take away. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Dr. Shalini Modi with Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, cardiologist with Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, about a heart screening event. It's free, it's open to the public, and it is taking place on Saturday, April 18th with Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. Now, Dr. Modi, why is now such a critical time to focus on heart health and preventive screenings?
I think everybody worries about cancer, but let's not forget this very important fact that nationally and internationally, heart disease happens to be the #1 killer. So awareness is the key. To know what all leads to it, the risk factors. The risk factors are on the rise, especially after the pandemic, right? Lifestyle changes. We're talking what leads to heart disease. There are things that individuals can do. We're talking about walking around with high blood pressure, not even knowing about it. Each 5 millimeter point decrease in blood pressure control can lead to anywhere from 10 to 25% improvement in overall mortality, which we're talking about heart attack, we're talking about stroke, we're talking about heart failure. And if one doesn't get their blood pressure checked, how will they even know they're walking around with this? Diabetes, the stress. In fact, there are even environmental conditions that lead to increase in heart disease. So if that awareness is not there, individual will harbor this. So it is a silent disease until unless one were to participate in a screening or make an appointment with a physician, and not wait for something catastrophic to happen. And we always believe prevention is better than cure, right? Be whichever aspect of the human body, but certainly when it comes to the heart, this is very valuable.
Yeah, I mean, heart health is some of the most important information you can get, especially when a lot of the things you just mentioned, like heart attacks, stroke, I mean, they can happen really at any time. If I could get personal for a minute, we just had a family friend pass away recently from a very sudden heart attack. So having events like this and having information available for the public is incredibly crucial. And Dr. Modi, are you seeing trends, either locally or nationally, that make events like this more necessary than ever?
Yes, the trend nationally as well as locally, when I'm on call, I'm surprised when I see young, I'm talking under the age of 40, walking with a heart attack, right? That is concerning. It makes us wonder what is happening in the community. And let's not forget the impact of these other habits, which may seem cool when folks are teenagers, right? And then those habits continue. I'm talking about smoking, I'm talking about perhaps increased alcohol use and marijuana and all these other things that happen. And the consumption of processed food leading to obesity, leading to diabetes. And all these things affect the metabolic health of the body, and then the stress on top of everything else doesn't help. So I think the biggest thing is seeing people, younger people, presenting with heart. That is very concerning.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it is upsetting to hear about how people as young as, I think you said, under the age of 40 are having heart issues. I mean, yeah, it's something that needs to be taken care of everywhere you look. And that raises the next question. Who should consider attending this event, even if they feel healthy?
Again, excellent question. I would say certainly anybody over the age of 40 should come and see us and or participate in any of the screening events whenever they're available in a community, because the younger ones always feel they're invincible. And these things, as I said, even hypertension, we call it as a silent killer. Just go get it checked. And by the way, one reading doesn't make somebody hypertensive, but at least if this one reading is elevated, it's a red flag. We will always tell you, go get another set of reading. If a random blood sugar is high, one set of reading is not going to diagnose someone with diabetes. We will encourage them to establish care with a primary care physician and get all these tests done. So anybody over the age of 40, somebody with a family history, somebody who has not ever seen a physician, they should just show up for these screening events. And I will also underscore the fact that anybody who has a known history of heart disease, they don't get well served by screening events.
Lots of people, hopefully that we're going to be seeing a lot of people attend this event and getting this information. Dr. Modi, I got two more questions for you before we wrap things up. What long-term impact do you hope this event has on individuals and the broader Greater West Bloomfield community?
As I mentioned, that truly is the mission and the ultimate goal of this screening event. Healthy individuals make healthy families and very productive, thriving communities. So health is imperative. And when we were talking about prevention, remember the cost of preventing a disease is so much lower than taking care of an individual who's now diagnosed to have heart failure, a heart that is functioning only at 50%. That just adds a lot of burden to everybody around. So that walking away with this is not just catering to an individual, but we must realize that our community members make strong communities.
That's absolutely right. Dr. Modi, where can people go to gain a little bit more information about this heart screening event and how they can get involved and how they can get some more information?
Yeah, so there is events like this. It's to spread the message. It's all over here in the hospital. And in general, as you had mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, everywhere, even if somebody's not at West Bloomfield, they're in a location, or their loved one is in a location other than West Bloomfield. If there is a Henry Ford Hospital nearby, they all are going to be offering this event. And it's a very simple process. Just walk in April 18th from 7 o'clock in the morning to 11. And remember, the very reason you're walking into these screening events is to change this notion of I feel fine, to walk away confidently that I know that I'm fine, right? That is the purpose of the screen.
And that's a great focus to have, to make sure everybody knows that they feel fine and they have all of the necessary information. Dr. Shalini Modi, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you.
Once again, the open to the public free heart screening event will be taking place at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital on Saturday, April 18th. Lots of great information there and lots of ways for people to get informed and to know what's going on with their heart and what they need to be on the lookout for in the future. With springtime in the air, flora of every kind is appearing in bloom throughout the Greater West Bloomfield community. There are opportunities all around for you to observe the scenery and help to add your own little side to it. Applications are open right now for the Keego Harbor Community Garden and for you to help make Keego Harbor just a little bit greener. Here to tell us more about the community garden is Kirsten Sonneville Douglas from Keego Harbor Parks and Recreation. Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I mean, I always love hearing about stuff like this because it's just another reminder that spring and summer are here. The warm weather is coming and we don't have to worry about the snow or any of that cold anymore. It's great. What role does the garden play in bringing the Keego Harbor community together?
It's just a wonderful opportunity to get experienced gardeners together, new gardeners, me, I'm always learning. And giving an opportunity to do something for our community and together. And that's always, you'll hear me say that all the time, is just getting our community together.
That's right. That's what it's all about all throughout Greater West Bloomfield. Now, with this community garden, how can residents sign up for a garden plot and who is eligible to participate in something like this?
Anyone's eligible. They can go onto the Keego Harbor website, which is keegoharbor.org, under Parks and Rec. They can get the application there, or if they'd rather just go into City Hall, they can access an application there.
All right, great. Plenty of ways to get involved and to make sure that this garden truly is the centerpiece of the community and really comes into bloom. Now, maybe there are residents or volunteers who maybe want to help out with this garden, but maybe don't want to commit to a full plot. Are there opportunities for volunteers who still want to help in that capacity?
Completely, right? Helping, doing some watering. If you're walking around and you see a plot that's dry, I do that all the time. If I'm doing my plot and I see someone that could use a little extra water, we've got the rain barrels there to help with that. We're always taking donations if you have leftover seeds. So we have a little lending and I don't know if it's lending library, but a library of seeds. So if you have extras, we put them there. Extra tools that maybe you've purchased new ones, we can always use some refurbished ones, so that people aren't having to bring all of their tools up to the garden. But the garden can be anything, right? We have master gardeners that have amazing vegetable plots. Last year, I did one that was more just flowers to help with the pollinators, right? So there can be anything from garden flowers to vegetable crops.
There's something for everybody. There's flowers, there's vegetables, there's so much for the community to enjoy. Now, you just talked about a lot of these master gardeners who are perfecting what they have in the garden. What should first-time gardeners expect when they join the Keego Community Garden?
You're asking the wrong gardener. No, right? The nice thing is when you're out there, you can ask someone going, wait, what is this? And how do you when did you plant that? Because there is a system, right, where you're going to plant the colder, hardier plants first, and then there's a season. And MSU, Michigan State University, has a great resource for that. And so it's just nice to kind of tap into some other people's knowledge, especially when you come on the opening day. You don't have to, but it's just kind of nice for all of us tending the beds, getting them ready to do some of the planting. Now, some of us have already kept the garden through the winter. We don't manage it because it's more winter crops like kale, or for me, I'm doing garlic. And so you just plant them in the fall and you let them be. But the nice thing is with the garden in the spring, if you're coming to the first one, you're just meeting some of the other gardeners and you can ask questions, which I love learning. So I love asking all the questions.
Of course, many ways for people to get that necessary information, especially if they've never done something like this before or never been involved with a project like this before. Now, you just talked about how spring really signifies the start of the garden really coming into bloom, and that's for obvious reasons. But what makes spring such a special time for the garden, and more specifically for Keego Harbor in general?
It's just nice seeing our neighbors out. I feel in the wintertime, and I don't think it's just specifically to Keego Harbor, right? When it's cold, we just drive up to our garages or just drive up and walk inside. It's nice seeing people walking around. It's nice to connect again in the spring. And I think spring just kind of, is where it all kicks off. We also have other opportunities. You did mention about how they could volunteer. If people are interested in taking some of our garden plots that are at our pocket parks, so we've got small little parks, not our big ones, but like firefighters, there are these little garden areas that if someone just wants to take one of those and own that, we would be happy with that volunteering as well. So there's a lot of ways to connect and to volunteer in Keego Harbor.
April is National Volunteer Month, so we want to highlight as many of those opportunities as we can. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Kirsten Sonneville Douglas from Keego Harbor Parks and Recreation about this year's community garden in Keego Harbor, which is open right now, or applications are open right now. And the garden itself is going to be opening on April 25th. So plenty of opportunities for people to get some greenery in the community and to make everything that much more beautiful. Now, we talked about this a little bit about, especially a garden like this coming into bloom with the spring season having just gone through winter. How does the garden help people reconnect with nature after the cold winter months?
Science says, right, it helps you ground, right? And getting your hands in the dirt it's healthy for your body as well. So here's an opportunity. Some people might not have the extra space in their yards. And so this is an opportunity to have a dedicated plot that they can tend to. And some people actually take 2 plots because they want a larger garden. But it's healthy for being out in the community. It's wonderful for our community. And it's good for everyone's health too, being outside.
Of course, and this garden provides so much for Keego Harbor. How does the garden support sustainability, healthy living, and even something like food access in the area?
That's a great question. So I think to go back, this whole idea kind of started off with a Eagle project. We had an Eagle Scout come present to do the garden, and it was something that we had kind of tossed around at one point, but never kind of moved it forward. And this was an opportunity for us to kind of test the waters. And so we had a few, I would say plots. They took rain barrels or barrels and cut them in half. But because of the expansion and contraction with the water and in the soil, those weren't sustainable. So there was interest. So then we moved to making permanent plots. We've got 16 of them. And then a little area where we've got, I think, 3 rain barrels now. And so then that was helping make that sustainable, right? I think it's amazing to teach other people how to be able to grow their produce. I do that with my own son. He loves, going and taking tomatoes or cucumbers off of the vine, and there's nothing better than tasting a fresh vegetable off of the vine. But just helping with sustainability, if we can grow our own foods, if we can grow that, that's better for our environment in itself.
See, that right there is exactly what I want to hear, especially as you are showing all of this to your son and getting him interested in gardening as well. It's spreading that love of nature and gardening throughout the community. I mean, that's what everybody wants to hear and wants to see as we see this garden continue to grow throughout the season and in the many years to follow. Kirsten, last question before we wrap things up. What do you hope, above all else, that visitors and gardeners take away from being a part of something like the Keego Community Garden?
They just find joy in it, right? That it brings happiness to our community, it brings happiness to our residents and our gardeners. And again, just being able to connect with our community through another avenue. There's so many ways for us, but some people, we connect with young families, with kids. But if you don't have kids or you're older, this is another way to connect with the community in a different capacity.
And that's amazing. And we love to see all of these opportunities throughout the community all throughout the spring and summer season. And that's exactly what we're going to be seeing. Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thanks, Jake. Have an amazing day.
You as well. Once again, applications are open for the Keego Harbor Community Garden, and the garden itself will be opening on April 25th. So plenty of opportunities for people to make the community that much more greener. We're just getting started here on The Splash Live. Plenty of more great stories and topics to get into right after this. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV.
Can't be late to your own party. Hurry up! Hurry up! Ah! Do not cut me off. It's her fault? Her fault? Ah! You kidding me? Honk, honk, honk! Honk, honk, honk! Honk, honk! Late! Out of my way! Honk! I hate construction!
You should have slowed down.
My party.
You wouldn't act this way in a store, so don't act this way on the road. Driving slower saves lives.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, bringing you all of the latest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. April is tax season, a time where individuals reassess finances and long-term goals. And one of the ways to set things up for the future is by downsizing. And a free educational event will be taking place the day after Tax Day on April 16th at Jewish Senior Life's Heckman Apartments in West Bloomfield, as the Center for Financial Planning in Southfield is going to be sharing the financial and lifestyle benefits of doing exactly that. Here to tell us more from a financial perspective is Logan Dimitri, the Associate Financial Planner at the Center for Financial Planning Incorporated. Logan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Jake. I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to talking through this and hopefully helping out some folks today.
Of course, that's what we want to be doing. We want to get this information out there. So first and foremost, what are the most common financial pressures people are feeling around tax day that maybe make them consider something like downsizing?
Yeah, so really one of the most common things that comes up in conversations with clients around this time is the unexpected tax liabilities as property taxes increase, and in transition, you might find you didn't withhold as much. So you might have some underpayment penalties, that sort of thing. Downsizing can actually really help with that, reducing your tax burden during the tax day. And a lot of people are focused on that around this time. This is when most people start looking at their financial picture. So
that's right. Really looking at what you've got in front of you, how you want to navigate things for the future. Now, how can downsizing improve someone's overall financial health?
Great question, Jake. So overall financial health, I guess there's a lot of ways that it can do that. And I like to look back at my time in senior living. I was a life enrichment director 7 years ago for memory care and independent living community. And we used to focus very much on the dimensions of wellness. And there's 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on which model you look at. But one thing I always noticed is none of them really mentioned financial or finances in them. And financial health is so important. And downsizing can really have many benefits there. Just reducing stress through, again, avoiding these increased tax payments. I mean, there's so many costs to homeownership that, I mean, I could list them all morning. So.
Yeah, and I mean, there's even some hidden costs people may not realize they can eliminate by right-sizing their home. Do you have some examples of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say hidden costs in the sense you've got your fixed costs like heating your house, and you don't realize that that bill's actually pretty high because of all those extra rooms holding your stuff that you might not need anymore if the kids are on their own, they've got their own families, things like that you've just collected over time. There's other, the hidden costs of those taxes. I mean, your property is typically taxed on like your square footage, that sort of thing. I think you could reduce a lot of those costs and increase your cash flow just by downsizing, just by right sizing.
And with downsizing, that's a very big decision that somebody can make. I mean, that's not a decision you should take very lightly. How should someone determine if downsizing is the right financial decision for them?
Yeah, so how to determine if this is the right decision for you? A lot of times I come back to the transitions, life transitions, things that change in your life. I bring up becoming like an empty nester. That's a big one, but just evaluating your life stage and your future goals in general. Every year you should kind of be thinking about where are you at, where do you want to go? And I mean, just think about all these houses with you've got so many stairs going up and down. There's no main floor, full bathroom, bedroom, that sort of thing. I mean, it's just, it can take a toll on your physical health. If you don't need these extra bedrooms, why have them when you can downsize and actually live intentionally, live in a way that guides you to a better quality of life, by just, I mean, picking a different place to live now that you're in a different stage of life. Does that kind of answer your question, Jake?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's living what makes sense to you, knowing what makes sense, knowing what you need, not having any excess materials that are not necessary and are just draining more money from your bank account. That's absolutely right. Logan, I got one more question before we let you go. Are there tax implications or benefits people should be made aware of when selling their home and going through the downsizing process?
Yeah, absolutely. There are tax implications. I mean, so when thinking about if it's the right time, these are the questions and the things you need to be thinking about. As a certified financial planner, if you're not already working with a certified financial planner, I recommend you do. We have a fiduciary duty to do what's in your best interest. And a lot of what we do is actually take all of these considerations into your life plan. So when you've decided maybe you're at this life stage where downsizing might be right for you, let's talk about your cash flow. We'll do a cash flow analysis. We'll do a balance sheet or net worth analysis. As far as tax implications go, we do a lot of tax planning. So one major benefit, a lot of times, it's your primary residence that you're downsizing, right? There is actually an exclusion of about $250,000 for single filers and $500,000 for married filing jointly. So that exclusion is basically a capital gains exclusion. So say you purchased your house 30 years ago for $50,000 and now it's worth, say, $300,000. If you're a single filer, that gain you might actually get a full exclusion on if you're eligible, of course. So we do a lot of the tax planning, and then we'll partner with a CPA who will actually file your taxes. So we'll run these ideas by them, and then they'll actually give the seal of approval and get it filed for you. So.
All right, all very important information that people are going to be taking away from this event and making sure they have all the necessary information before going through something like this. Logan, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash.
Thank you so much for having me, Jake. Have a wonderful day.
Of course. Once again, that was Logan Dimitri, the Associate Financial Planner at the Center for Financial Planning Incorporated. Lots of information people need to be made aware of before tax day and before making these major life decisions. Once again, the event will be taking place on April 16th at Jewish Senior Life's Hechtman Apartments in West Bloomfield. Of course, with downsizing being such a major decision, it's best you shouldn't just look at it from a financial point of view, but also from a lifestyle one as well. Here to explain more from the lifestyle side of things is the Executive Director of Marketing and Sales at Jewish Senior Life, Dennis Kraniak. Dennis, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Of course. Now, we just had that conversation with Logan about the financial side of things, but beyond finances, what are the biggest lifestyle benefits people experience after downsizing?
That's a great question. I think the first word that comes to mind is freedom. I think people are surprised by how much life opens up. You know, we go from managing a home to actually enjoying their time. You don't have to worry about maintenance and repairs or isolation, which is a really big thing where, you know, the neighborhood changes and now you're alone in your home or you're a couple in your home. And, you know, it's also harder to get out and do dining and cultural programs. And more importantly, I think the biggest experience is you're going to get to be around more people, which is so important. And so it's not that you're going to a smaller space, it's that you're really gaining a bigger life. And That's what I would say.
That's a great way to look at things. It sounds like a lot of the stress and a lot of the turmoil that may come from managing a bigger property goes away from something like this. How does downsizing contribute to reduced stress and improved peace of mind overall?
It's a great question too. And these are the questions that our residents ask us all the time, or our prospective residents of people that come to live with us. But a lot of the stress comes from the unknown. Right? It's like carrying so much responsibility on my own. And when you downsize, and maybe Logan spoke to this, it's like you're simplifying your life. Your day-to-day becomes easier. And for us, and what's important as part of our mission and what our people feel is that they're taken care of, right? I feel security. And that means safety, that means support, that means that there's a team around you. The family feels it, and our residents feel it. It's peace of mind and a sense of relief.
Everybody's in this together, and you're just trying to make everyone feel comfortable and safe and providing everything that these residents need with Jewish Senior Life. What types of living options are available at Jewish Senior Life for those who are maybe considering a move like this?
Yeah, we have 3 different types of care that we provide. We provide independent living, which is for active adults, and for talking about the freedom that we're just referring to, and then the connection, being part of a community. We offer assisted living for those that need more support. And then we also offer memory care, which is an ever-growing segment of Alzheimer's and onset dementia as we age. So our idea is you can stay in one community and go from as you age. You can go from independent living to assisted living to memory care. But we have residents who've been in independent living, for 15, 20 years sometimes. And it's awesome. We offer college classes. There's great dining. We have a wood shop. We have a beautiful patio, gardens, and walking. You're all part of this community, and it's the people that you live with and the staff that we have that makes such a difference. But those are the 3 pillars: independent living, assisted living, and memory care.
All great options for those who need it. Now, when it comes to something like downsizing or even senior living communities, there could be a lot of misconceptions people might have. What would you say are some of the biggest ones people have over something like this?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is that you're giving something up, right? And really, it's what you're gaining. You're gaining more connection, more opportunities to do things socially, more freedom because you have less to worry about and more time to do what you want to do. And the other misconception is that it's clinical or impersonal. No, it's warm. Our whole thing is it's warm, we're social, how alive it feels. We look at it like, look, you're starting a new chapter on your terms. And that's it. It's like you do what you want to do. It is independent living. And the way we approach this, as a staff member, I'm walking through somebody's home when I'm working through the community. We're here to serve, and we're all part of this amazing community. And so it's not clinical at all. It's very personal. It's like, for us, it's our mitzvah. It's our mission to serve. We're a nonprofit, and that's our focus, is to take care of our elder people.
It sounds very personal, and it sounds like everybody involved with Jewish Senior Life is going to feel safe and welcome with whatever they choose to do. Dennis, last question before we wrap things up. Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who maybe feels a little overwhelmed by the idea of downsizing, but knows that it may be the right time?
You know what? I think it's, start the conversation, start small, and know that you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to make every decision at once. Like for us, come visit, come with your family, come have a conversation, ask a lot of questions. My title is Executive Director of Marketing and Sales, but that's not it. I'm an advisor, like a fiduciary, like this financial thing that we're hosting, this free event on April 16th. We're here to advise and offer insight and information. And for example, the Center for Financial Planning is one of many partners that we have to make sure that we're a resource with the latest information from health, wealth, and well-being to help you. And I want to say, it's not about losing your home. It's about, how do I want to live next, right? People do best when they truly enjoy everything that comes with it, and how to explore what those things are. What do I want? Take your time, have those conversations, and we're here to explain how that works for us and our community.
Amazing. Lots of things to consider before making a move like this, but lots of options available to make sure that it is done safely. Dennis, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Oh, thank you for having me. Enjoy your Friday.
Of course, and lots of information to have before this event on April 16th at Jewish Senior Life's Heckman Apartments in West Bloomfield to understand the benefits of downsizing and to know if the move is right for you and if this is the right time to do so. With the spring and summer temperatures continuing to creep up in West Bloomfield, there's been a noticeable change outdoors, which can be a difficult change to navigate for some, especially pet owners and their furry friends. I recently spoke with Elaine Chan Whitlow, the owner and trainer for Good Choices Dog Training and Services, to hear her thoughts on what pet owners need to prepare for and how they can get their exercise in the community. Elaine, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Glad to have you on, and like I said, love talking about topics like this because it means that spring is here, it means the warmer weather's here, and we're getting everybody outside again. So how should pets and pet owners properly prepare for the changing season, especially having just gone through winter?
Well, first of all, the change of temperature, the dog can definitely sense a change of season. So a lot of dogs are going to become more active, number one. So they will be craving more walks, getting outside more, and more activity. And number one thing is that make sure that, you watch for their hydration, start them on parasite control, things like that. And one of the things is that because they want to go outside more, if you have a dog outside, make sure that they're not trying to escape their house, trying to run away. If you have an intact dog, make sure you safely secure them, because I know a lot of times spring also means a lot of dog wants to run away from the property, trying to, go mate, things like that. So make sure that you either have them, spay or neuter, or make sure that you safely secure them. And then for grooming, that's also really important because a lot of dogs are going to be shedding their winter coat because now the spring season is coming. So make sure you work with a professional groomer. If not, make sure that you're regularly brushing them, bathing them, and monitor any signs of allergies on their skin and things like that. And when the weather is rainy or muddy, try to think about engaging your dog in indoor activities because they will need a lot of engagement to do. So even if it's rainy, don't be discouraged about giving them activity to do because they will need them for to stay active.
All very important information for people to remember throughout this spring season. And you were talking about the skin and maybe the moisture impact that pets' paws can have, especially with the melting snow. How does melting snow and increased moisture impact pets' paws and skin, and what precautions should owners take regarding things like that?
Well, the paws are a big part of their, of the dog's body, and with the snow and mud being melting, the main thing is the paws are going to be dirty. So you want to make sure that when they come back from outside, give them a really good wipe down, making sure you wipe their paws down. One of the favorite things that I want to do is actually soak their paws to clean up all the snow and mud and things like that. So one of the easy things you can do is dilute iodine solution, green tea, apple cider vinegar, Epsom salt. Those are the four really easy to find, inexpensive ingredient that you can look up the dilution ratio and then make sure that you give them a good soaking. The other thing you can also do is to have like chlorhexidine wipes on hand because that can also prevent any kind of skin allergies and things like that. And make sure that the paw pads are shaved. Make sure the nails are always trimmed properly. Those are also important things. And for the skin, with the pollens and all the irritant that spring and summer can bring to us, sometimes a simple wipe down with a wet towel after they come back from the outside is going to help them, not have the irritant stay on the top of the skin, and it can help prevent some of these allergies, reactions, and things like that.
Wow, a lot of precautions for these pets, but really, really great information for a lot of owners to be made aware of. Now, especially having just finished up the winter season, a lot of people were inside, staying warm, maybe not going outside and exercising as much as they maybe should, maybe being a little lethargic around the house. How can pet owners safely reintroduce outdoor exercise after a more sedentary winter season?
Well, the number one thing that I would say, start out slow. And you really need to know your own dog's their own physical condition and if there's any health problems or potentially concern. Because I would assume, the dog owner would know best of their own dog's, physical condition. So one thing you can try is doing some easy warm-up exercises such as stretching. And warm-up exercises could be just simply things like laying down, back to a sit, having them reach their paw, that can help stretch the upper body. Do some of those things before you go for a very long walk. And for starting out slow, just go outside, find a grass pet area and then do like 15, 20 minutes to start out and slowly build their stamina up. So the first thing would not be like, oh, the first warm day, go for like an hour high, doing inclines and all that. No, don't do all that stuff at first. Start really, really slow and then slowly build it up. And trying to avoid not doing too much exercise for young puppies and senior dog. For young puppies, their paw pads are really sensitive, so that the cements are kind of getting warmer because of the sun. Just watch out for, they can't do too much activities. Find something that's shaded and don't drag them on the leash and, make them run for, too much of a time because that can also strain their health as well.
I like that. Start off nice and slow, ease the pets back into this routine, and it helps that there's so many great resources all throughout Greater West Bloomfield for these pets to walk along. We got trails, we got parks, we got everything. And as more people are heading outdoors with their pets, Elaine, what safety tips should they keep in mind, especially for public spaces like parks and trails?
I always advocate people to be mindful, always be respectful, and always stay alert. Staying alert would be sometimes just get in the environment. Like if you go on a trail, there might be wildlife. Don't be occupied on your cell phone or have your headphones on. Really stay alert, watching for your dog as well as watching for other people's and what is in the environment. Have social etiquette. So like if you see other dog on the trail, try not to walk up to someone without asking or acknowledging. Staying away from other people's spaces. And be respectful to like if the other activities go on in the park or trail, don't walk your dog right up into someone else's space and things like that. Always obey and respect your leash law and your leash coordinate in the area. Have your dog properly leashed. If you do want to give your dog a little bit more freedom, let's say you do want them to roam a little bit, still have them on the long line. Please do not chance letting any dog off the leash in area that is not designed for that. If you wish to have a dog off leash, have running and whatnot, only select proper designated area that is allowed to do those things. And I always advocate have your dogs trained, properly trained so that they can enjoy outdoor more. Some dogs may have issue with socialization or reactivity, whatever. But there are a lot of professionals out there that can help you with these things. Just be really mindful and if a dog is not trained on proper command, they're not allowed to, listen to you outside. They're not going to be able to enjoy, outdoor or going on walks and trails as much. So consult a professional and get the dogs trained so they can enjoy the outdoor more.
I love that. Pay attention to your surroundings. Make sure that your pets are ready for this kind of activity and make sure that they're ready for everything to come with the spring and summer season. Elaine Chan Whitlow is joining us on the Splash Live right now, the owner of Good Choices Dog Training and Services, giving us some tips and some insights as pets and their owners make their way outside again for a beautiful spring and summer season. Now, Elaine, I do have to ask, are there any upcoming pet-related events or community programs local residents should know about, maybe to help get their pets a little bit of exercise?
I will be starting my adventure group classes in April and May, and we already have 4 different sessions planned in the West Bloomfield area. So starting on April 11th, we have a free walk at the West Bloomfield Wood Nature Preserve Trail, so people can join, and then we can have Q&A during the walks and things like that. As far as other activity, I will have fitness and social hour classes in a couple new businesses opening up in Wixom. There's an indoor dog park there that we can, actually conduct classes in a safe and air-controlled environment, things like that. For shows and things like that, in May, we have a Much in Motion show that is going to be happening in Milford. A little bit far from, West Bloomfield, but it's going to be benefiting a rescue group, so that will be nice for people to come out May 9, which is the Mother's Day weekend. And I will have dog painting party in the area in Livonia. I got Easter photo coming this weekend. So there's lots of great stuff coming up. And besides myself, there's lots of local professionals that are doing lots of activities, dropping classes, things like that. So people can just check on social media or be, looking out for like supporting your local rescue. If there's any events and things like that.
Perfect. So many resources available for these pets and their owners. They're going to have a lot of fun throughout the spring and summer season. Elaine, last question before we wrap things up. What makes the Greater West Bloomfield area a fantastic place for pet owners compared to other communities?
I think one thing I really do love is that I really love all the West Bloomfield parks. They're beautiful. They're always really well maintained. There's always proper map showing the trails, where to go. There are other places that I've gone to that I lead my walk, so to speak, and I get lost when I get into the park because I have no way to find my way out because there was no map. And I really love how beautiful all the West Bloomfield parks are and how friendly the neighborhood is. And I also really enjoy working with some of the West Bloomfield local businesses, such as Premier Pet Supply Store and things like that nature. They're always really supportive of my events, sponsoring and helping out and things like that. So I really do enjoy working with the West Bloomfield community.
That's great, and we enjoy having you bring your pets and bring your events for everyone in the community to West Bloomfield every single year. I'm sure the residents are going to have a blast. Elaine, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Yep, thank you for having me again. Absolutely.
We want to be seeing all of these pet owners and their furry friends getting back outside to enjoy this wonderful weather. So many great resources available throughout Greater West Bloomfield to get your pets outside, get them that exercise, and to get them reacquainted with the outdoors. Right in Keego Harbor, a beloved eatery is celebrating a major milestone. Buscemi's in Keego Harbor is celebrating their 70th anniversary in the community. Now, there are many Buscemi's around the state of Michigan, but it was Keego Harbor's that started it all 70 years ago, providing incredible food and establishing great memories in the community. Buscemi's is celebrating their milestone anniversary all throughout the month of April with different deals and ways to celebrate. I stopped by the pizza place to speak with some of the workers on why Buscemi's has stood the test of time and why it means so much to the community.
Buscemi's, we like to give back to the community. Our community's been so welcoming to us these past years, and in order to celebrate our 70th year here, we wanted to give back, and we're just running a bunch of specials for the month of April, and every day's got a new special. They feature a little 70 notion, I'd say. So it's just kind of giving back every single day and seeing what we can do for the community.
And I mean, 70 years, that truly shows how much something has become a staple of the community and for customers to keep stopping by and to be enjoying this great food year after year.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is just kind of producing quality, giving the people what they want. We're very receptive to feedback. Any special requests that customers have, we're always ready to give it to them. We constantly update our menu, and we're always putting new stuff in our hot tub, just trying new things and, trying to see what the community likes, and we love serving good food to everybody.
It's impacted the community really well. We love to give back with good deals, bring positive energy here. We want the customers to come here happy, leave with a smile, come in with a smile, and just help out everybody in the community. The food is great. When you work here almost every day, you eat a lot. It makes you very, very happy. And anyone who comes in here will be happy, I can tell you that much.
They love it. They're always talking about it. They're like, wow, Buscemi's been around for 70 years, and obviously I haven't been around for 70 years to experience it all, but everybody that comes in here is happy. They always got a smile on their face. We smile with everyone who comes in. We're just trying to be friendly and, connect with the community.
And last question, what do you hope Buscemi's continues to bring to Keego Harbor and to Greater West Bloomfield in the next several years?
Good food, good customer service. Everybody walks out of here with a smile. That's the biggest thing for us, and we just love getting good feedback. And as long as people keep on telling us our food is great, we're going to keep on providing it. And if anybody wants us to change in some way, we're always receptive to feedback, and we're ready to adapt whichever way we may need to.
I hope they it remembers the food, the people that work here, and just overall the name, and how long it's been around for, and the great people that have made the name bigger and bigger, and yeah, that's really it.
It's a name you'll never forget. Buscemi's, making great food and great memories for 70 years and hopefully 70 more. That's going to do it for us today here on The Splash Live. Big thank you to all of our guests and for everybody on the Splash Live team for helping to make this show possible. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV.